For the past 30 years, conflict and tragedy have been the order of the day in a corner of the South Caucasus, the mountainous Nagorno-Karabakh, long the object of Armenia and the bane of Azerbaijan. One of our first projects on this channel was to cover in real time the Second Nagorno-Karabakh War during the autumn of 2020. We looked at a history of the region dating back to the late Soviet era, as ethnic clashes bubbled into all-out war once the Union collapsed. So for background of the First and Second Nagorno-Karabakh Wars, make sure you check out that two-part series, as we will now pick up where things left off. Following the Russian-brokered armistice in November 2020 and the subsequent handover of large territories to Azerbaijan, the situation remained quite unstable. Russian peacekeepers guaranteed the remainder of the Artsakh Republic, as well as its access to Armenia proper through the Lachin corridor. That being said, the breakaway state now existed at the whims of Azerbaijan. In the meantime, border clashes between Azerbaijan and Armenia proper did not stop, with Azerbaijan continuing and expanding their occupation of several Armenian border outposts. Azerbaijan also rescinded its autonomy proposal for Nagorno-Karabakh. In December 2022, it began a blockade of the territory. This was done under the guise of an environmental protest. Only Russian peacekeepers and Red Cross personnel were allowed to cross the Lachin corridor. Azerbaijan also intermittently cut off gas supplies, electricity, and internet access. On March 30th, 2023, Azeri forces seized further control of the corridor by taking up positions within Armenia proper, and on April 23rd, they installed a military checkpoint on the road. On June 15th, after a clash with Armenian border guards, the Azeris completely sealed off access to the enclave, including to the Red Cross and Russian peacekeepers. With its full attention on the war in Ukraine, Russia and its forces on the ground did nothing to object. With the noose tightening around Artsakh, Azerbaijan called on the authorities of the breakaway republic to surrender throughout the summer. Now, instead of the previous autonomy proposal, Azerbaijan's dynastic leader Aliyev offered reintegration. This was rejected by Artsakh, but the blockade made the situation untenable, with emergency reserves of food, fuel, and medicine running low. On September 19th, the Third Nagorno-Karabakh War began. Azerbaijan launched a multi-pronged offensive against the remainder of the Artsakh Republic. As civilians began fleeing, Azerbaijan announced it was reopening the Lachin corridor as a humanitarian route. This time they largely kept their word as the focus became the military offensive. Artsakh and Russian authorities evacuated a combined 12,000 people on the opening day, most carrying all their worldly possessions never to return to their homeland. More were to follow as Azerbaijan's offensive intensified. As further territory was captured, Azerbaijan also began shelling Artsakh's capital, Stepanakert. Several Russian peacekeepers were also killed in the fighting, but Moscow took no action. With the outcome inevitable, on the second day of the Azeri offensive, at 1 p.m., Artsakh agreed to a ceasefire on Azeri terms. These terms included the complete disbandment of the breakaway state, as well as a long list of Armenian and Artsakh officials to be handed over to Azerbaijan. Following the announcement of the ceasefire, virtually all the remaining ethnic Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh made hasty plans to pack up their life and evacuate to Armenia. That night, Aliyev appeared on Azeri TV to give a victory speech. The strongman said that his, quote, iron fist had consigned the idea of Karabakh as a separate state to history. By the end of September, over 100,000 ethnic Armenians had fled from the territory, with virtually none remaining under Aliyev's offer of peaceful reintegration, an offer viewed with great suspicion after 30 years of war between the parties. The large-scale exodus of Armenians has been described in some corners as a form of ethnic cleansing, but no matter the label it's given, it's clear that a large-scale human tragedy is playing out, with civilians forced to abandon their lifelong homes, likely forever. For its part, Azerbaijan is quick to point out that over 500,000 of its own citizens had to flee during the First Karabakh War, some of whom have since returned to the territories regained by Azerbaijan in 2020. Now, for the first time, the entirety of Nagorno-Karabakh would come under Azeri control. On the 29th, Azeri forces entered Stepanakert, known to Azerbaijan as Khankendi. On October 15th, Aliyev visited the city, raising the flag of Azerbaijan. In the weeks following the ceasefire, Azerbaijan arrested several former leaders of the breakaway republic. Their future fate remains unclear. The fate of the over 100,000 refugees now fell to Armenia, which was plunged into chaos with the mass influx of refugees. Despite the seeming end of the three-decade fight for Karabakh, the region's instability and the continued border dispute between Azerbaijan and Armenia proper appear set to continue. We will continue to follow developments. Thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a like and leave a comment. For more content like this, please check out our channel page, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know when the next video is posted. Be sure to check out the project that forms the basis for these videos at apoliticalworldmap.org. And if you can, please sign up for our Patreon to keep the videos coming. Thanks again for watching. I'm Alex. I am out.